Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome into the weekly preview video on my YouTube channel. As everybody knows, typically I will get this out on a Saturday, but we have those two Christmas Day games tomorrow, so I'm getting this out a day earlier because I'm off from work, so I'm able to do it today. And then also, I do apologize. I told you guys it might be coming out this morning. I'll be honest, I was kind of lazy and kind of moving slow this morning, and then. To tie this back to a couple weeks ago, if anybody remembers when I was hungover and the lawn people showed up, typically they do come on Saturdays. They came a day early, and as I'm about to sit down and record, all of a sudden I hear them, and I've been waiting like 15 minutes, and there's not that much grass here. My friends that have been to my complex know there's not a lot of grass to cut, and I'm like, why are they still making noise out there? They must get paid by the hour, I assume. I did hear the leaf blower guy. He's about halfway down, so I am assuming they are done with this side of the complex. But if they all of a sudden start making those loud noises again, I apologize. So I just want to jump out in front of that. But other than that, guys, I am going to go ahead and get into this preview video. As always, I'm going to start with last night's Thursday night game where the Titans beat the 49ers 20-17. That was a surprise for me. Not that it's like the Titans are a bad team, just where the Titans are as a team, right? Like the Titans entered this matchup. They are 1-3 in their last four games. They had their two sides of their line, their left tackle Taylor Lewan and Roger Saffold, their left guard, was out of this matchup, as well as their right guard. He was placed on the COVID list, so they were down three linemen. And with Nick Bosa, I was like, all right, well, the defensive front is going to dominate. And that 49ers defensive front didn't show up like I thought they would. And that allowed Ryan Tannehill and A.J. Brown to connect, 11 times in that game? Because that's one thing I've said about the 49ers in the past is my biggest concern is their secondary. It's not that great. They really don't have a legit dog back there that could contain A.J. Brown, so I don't understand why they weren't really double teaming him as often as they should have been last night. But kudos to Tennessee. Sorry, losing my voice already. But kudos to Tennessee because they were down 10-0 at halftime. And then they fought back. Their defense really stepped up and kept that 49ers offense in check for most of the game. So kudos to their defense. I really think that it was their defense that won that game. Their defense put them in prime position to get that touchdown that tied it up at 10-10. And they kind of just basically had control. I mean, they jumped out, the 17-10 lead, and then the 49ers did tie it back up. But you never really felt like in the second half, like the 49ers were going to win it, right? Because everything was going their wrong way. And then speaking on the 49ers, Jimmy, I'm going to just go ahead and say it. Jimmy G lost that game to him last night. He was missing throws. He missed a touchdown opportunity to Kyle Juszczyk, which would have opened that game up in the first half. The interception he threw was awful. I rewatched that this morning, and I don't know where he was trying to place that ball. It was just a really bad throw. So I put this loss on them, on Jimmy G more than anybody else. Like I said, I do think the defensive front of the 49ers could have played a little bit better, especially with how many pieces they were missing in the front of that offensive line from Tennessee. But yeah, kudos for Tennessee to get that win. What this means going forward, starting with the Titans, that win's huge because the Colts are really hot right now. Entering last night, they were one game back. Well, technically 2 games back because Tennessee owns the tiebreaker. But if Tennessee would have dropped last night's game, the Colts win tomorrow night, and then they would win next week, and the next week, and then Tennessee loses one of the next following games. The Colts would have won the division. So now Tennessee could possibly leave this week. Actually, could leave Saturday night as the AFC South winners if the Colts do lose to the Cardinals. Tennessee does win the division, and they will be hosting a playoff game come January. Now, what this means for the 49ers, they had an outside shot of winning the division. That's pretty much gone at this point. Now the NFC West will come down to the Rams and the Cardinals, but they still are in control of their fate. They're an 8-7 team. They basically just got to win, these last couple games, and they'll lock up a wild card spot, and they'll go on the road to face somebody in the playoffs. But listen, if with Jimmy G at their quarterback position, I don't know how far they'll go because this is not the team from a couple years ago that went deep into the Super Bowl. They have less pieces. That team had DeForest Buckner. That team's secondary is way better than this current secondary. So I feel like they're a one and done team in the playoffs unless they kind of draw the right matchup that works in their favor. And then go ahead and put a bow on this. This will be the last one of the year, guys. Last night's game was the last Thursday night game of the season. Then they'll be going down to they're going down to like a Sunday, Monday schedule next week. And then I think the last week, I think they're doing I think I saw something. I'm going to have to double check because I'm going to have to kind of figure out my content creation schedule. But I think week 18, they're doing like 2 Saturday games that they're going to flex into Saturday. But those games have to have like playoff implications. And then I think they'll have all the games on Sunday. So Saturday, Sunday type of thing. But yeah, last Thursday game. So this will be the last Prospect Encyclopedia player of Thursday Night Football. And I'm going with that guy that got that interception off of Jimmy G in the second half, which put the Titans in the great field position to go march down and get that touchdown to tie it up. Amani Hooker, it's a safety I always liked out of Iowa. He finally got the starting job, and he's been doing some nice things this year. Last night he had the 5 tackles for 2. He had 2 solo. He had a pass deflection. Again, that interception was huge. Like I said, it was Jimmy G's terrible throw, but he was in position to make the throw. He secured the interception, and not only he secured the interception, he immediately took off with it and got I think he got like 25, 30 yards if I remember when I was watching that this morning. So yeah, I think Amani Hooker is a solid safety. I think he complements Kevin Byard pretty well, and maybe they kind of are getting some things figured out in that secondary in Tennessee with Byard, Hooker. I really like Christian Fulton, and then it's just like the 2 young guys are hurt, right? Caleb Farley has been done for the year for a while. I think same thing with Elijah Moden. He got hurt like earlier this season, so maybe they got a young nucleus in their secondary for the future, and Amani Hooker could be their starting safety at least for the next 2 or 3 seasons. So that he will be my final Prospect Encyclopedia player of Thursday Night Football. Again, if you guys want to check that out, go to prospectencyclopedia.com to check it out. You can still order it in the whole PDF of it. It is $15. Individual team PDFs are $1. As I've always said all season long, you can get the entire Bucks section for free. Check it out and see if that impresses you, and then if you want to go make that purchase, you can go ahead and do that. And then look for next year's edition. I am sure my man Roy Countryman has already plans for the next edition of the Prospect Encyclopedia Prospect Encyclopedia, which I plan on being a part of as long as Roy is gonna let me be a part of it. So yeah, go check that out if you guys want to. Other than that, I'm gonna go ahead and move in to the rest of the week 16 games. I'm going to start with these Christmas games that we got going on tomorrow. The first game, we got the Browns traveling to Green Bay to face the Packers. This game is, just so if anybody's doesn't know, this game will be starting at 4:30 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. So right after you guys get all the Christmas presents open and you guys get maybe a Christmas lunch or maybe that's right when you get your little Christmas dinner. I don't know. Every family kind of does their own food type of thing for Christmas, but it'll be right there in the late afternoon slot for this game. Taking a quick look at the injury report for Cleveland, Josh Johnson is out with his hamstring injury, and then Myles Garrett is questionable with the groin, as well as Malik Jackson with his knee. And then taking a look at the Packers injury report, these following players are out. David Bakhtiari with a knee, Ty Summers with a hamstring, Malik Taylor with a shoulder, Billy Turner with a knee. And Dominic Daphne is questionable, and apparently Cody totally forgot to put the injury in there. So I do apologize about that. But yeah, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this matchup. Now, as of this recording, I'm recording right now at around 11:24 a.m. Eastern time. So as of this recording, I have not seen any update if Baker Mayfield is going to be activated off the COVID list. I don't believe I've seen anything about Case Keenum, so this might be another Nick Mullins matchup. I thought these rules were going to be fixed so these guys can get back, but apparently, these guys are, even though they're asymptomatic, they're still testing positive, so they can't play. I don't make the rules on that. So yeah, with that being said, even with Baker Mayfield playing, You got Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is basically he's probably going to win the second MVP. As much as I think it should go to my man Jonathan Taylor, or maybe even Cooper Kupp can make a good case. It's always been a quarterback award, and so he definitely probably will end up winning that, unless the media, blacks him out for his personal decisions, as I keep on joking with my Packer friends. But yeah, so with that being said, they're going against this Browns defense where it can step up at times, but if Myles Garrett, is less than 100% with that groin injury, can he come off the edge? Because they're still waiting for David Bakhtiari to come back. And what's amazing is the Packers' offensive line has been decimated with these injuries, and they keep on showing up, these backups. So that's really signs of really good coaching from Matt LaFleur's team, and especially their offensive line coach. But yeah, the way I see this, you're just going to see your traditional Packers game, right? Aaron Rodgers is going to hand off to Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, and then he's going to pick them apart with Devontae Adams, Allen Lazard, and MVS is on the COVID list. I have not heard if he's going to be back, but I think he's got enough weapons around where they can pick apart this Browns defense and put up three plus touchdown drives. Now, you flip sides of the ball, the Packers defense, they play good at times, and then there's some games where it's like, man, what's going on here? Especially like that last week's game. I thought they could have been playing a lot better than they did. But with that being said, if it's not going to be Baker Mayfield back there, I don't think they're going to be scared of Nick Mullins, so they can, load up the box against Nick Chubb, and they can help defend the run, and then they can basically kind of do what the Raiders did on Monday night, and then try to force Nick Mullins to beat them. And obviously Nick Mullins, he can make some throws here and there, but I don't see Nick Mullins going toe-to-toe with them. I don't see Case Keenum going toe-to-toe. Now, listen, if Baker plays, maybe he somewhat makes it interesting, right? Maybe he comes out, he balls out, feeds off the play action, hits some deep shots at Donovan Peoples-Jones, utilizes his tight ends and marches down the field. But that being said, I think Aaron Rodgers does Aaron Rodgers things, and the Packers win like a 28 to 17 win. I say if Baker plays, they make it like a 7-4 point game. I could see it being like more of like a 28-21, 28-24 type of win for Green Bay. Moving on to this next matchup, we got the Indianapolis Colts traveling out to Arizona to face the Cardinals. With the Colts, Ryan Kelly's out with a personal reason. I'm sure people have heard about that. My prayers and thoughts are with his family over the loss of their child. And then Andrew Sendejo is out with a concussion, and they do have like 3 players that are currently on the COVID list. Again, I'm not sure if those guys will be able to test out or not. And then the Cardinals, the Jordan Phillips is out with a knee, and then these 3 players are questionable. James Conner with a heel, Rondale Moore with an ankle, and Max Garcia with a knee. And I know I did see Rodney Hudson, their center, is currently on the COVID list, but Cliff Kingsbury did say that he does have an opportunity to test out and play tomorrow night. So that would make a huge difference, because Rodney Hudson's basically, he helped improve the offensive line at the beginning of the year. Then he kind of got hurt, and that offensive line hasn't really been the same anytime he's out of the lineup. And then if he's out of the lineup, then you got DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart that can command the middle of that offensive line and demand presence for double teams, which should allow people to come off the edge. So I guess I might as well start there, right? So like with the Arizona offense, obviously like they're kind of in a funk the team has lost the last couple of games, and obviously like Kyler doesn't have his trusty weapon in DeAndre Hopkins, so they're trying to find themselves, I believe, at this point. I mean, James Conner had that huge game, right, a couple weeks ago, and but he's hurt with his heel injury. They do have Chase Edmonds back off the IR, so maybe they try to get those 2 going, but it is kind of hard to run the ball against the Colts offense. And where you can pick the Colts defense, and where you can pick the Colts defense apart, even though they've been playing really good as of late, you can still throw the ball against them. They're very weak at covering tight ends, so I do expect Zach Ertz to see plenty of opportunity to put up production tomorrow. And then they're just going to have to take the Colts are really good at not allowing deep shots, but they're going to have their moments where they look to push down the field. And I do think they're going to be able to put up 3 plus scoring drives. I think this is a bounce back game for Arizona tomorrow night, because they lost the last 2 games. If they lose another game, Rams win, Rams are going to gain control of the potentially winning that division. So the Cardinals have went from the number 1 seed to possibly now going on the road as a wild card team. So this is a huge game for them. And you flip sides of the ball, the Colts, obviously, they're running the ball through Jonathan Taylor, and that's not going to stop against Arizona because obviously I know more about this game. I write about my for Colts Wire at USA Today. You can go check out my 5 things to watch for. And one of the things I pointed out is ever since J.J. Watt got hurt in Arizona, they have really struggled to stop the run. They're like right in the middle of the pack as far as yards per game that they give up on the ground. And then look at last week, the Lions. The Lions with Craig Reynolds. Craig Reynolds in his first career start went over 100 yards, and they were able to run the rock down their throat last week. So I don't expect that to change for the Colts tomorrow night. I expect them to lean into the rushing attack. I expect the offensive line to dominate the trenches. And then where this could come down to is if Arizona can somewhat limit Jonathan Taylor in that rushing attack and force them to lean on the pass. Where I get my concerns as a Colts fan is when Carson Wentz drops back, Eric Fisher, who has been solid as a run blocker, but he's been very weak as a pass blocker this season. So Chandler Jones against Eric Fisher does scare me. I kind of could see Chandler Jones coming off the edge and hitting Carson Wentz and forcing a fumble, maybe forcing an errant throw that turns into an interception. But with that being said, with how teams have been able to run against them, I think the Colts can match touchdowns and go 3+ touchdowns against them. Now, I'm going to go ahead. I don't think Kevin's got to it. I just sent him to it this morning. But my prediction that will come out on Colts Wire at some point, I think it's going to be a close game in the fourth quarter that comes down to who can create the crucial turnover. Well, Colts are obviously really good at creating turnovers. And here's an interesting stat for you guys on Kyler Murray. He has fumbled the ball this season 11 times. He has not lost one single fumble. He's obviously due for some regression in that area where he's due to lose one of those fumbles. So my prediction, fourth quarter, I said Quiddy Pay, but whoever it is will force Kyler Murray to fumble the ball, and he'll lose his first fumble of the season. Colts recover. They march down the field. They score the go-ahead touchdown. Indianapolis wins tomorrow night, 27-24. All right, guys. So those are the 2 Christmas games. I'm going to move into the Sunday games. These are the 1 p.m. games. Now, keep in mind, guys, this is my Friday episode, so these are the practice reports based on yesterday. The final injury reports will be coming out today. I feel pretty comfortable in the teams I plan on picking in this episode, but if there were some major COVID lists or major injury, people get ruled out where I flip my mind, just go check my Twitter when I post my game winner, my game picks throughout the weekend to kind of see if I did change that. And apparently they're back, so I do apologize. I'm telling you, there's nothing to cut grass out there. These guys are just here to get paid by the hour. I'm 100% convinced by that now, because there is no more grass that they can cut. I don't understand why they're making all this noise right now. So I do apologize, but I did give you guys that fair warning. So let's get into this first 1 p.m. game I'm going to talk about. Detroit versus Atlanta. Now, taking a look at the Lions injury report from yesterday, Amani Oruwariye did not practice with these 2 players. Did not practice, and I did see Dan Campbell say this morning that he does not expect Oruwariye to play tomorrow, who has been playing some really good football as of late. But he did not practice. Josh Woods as well with the neck, and then these following players were limited in practice. Michael Brockers with a knee, Jonah Jackson with the back, Julian Akawara with the ankle, Khalif Raymond with the shoulder, Jalen Reeves-Maybin with the shoulder, Josh Reynolds with a thigh, and DeAndre Swift with a shoulder. And then Jared Goff is currently on the COVID list, and I did see that this morning before I hopped on to record this, that Dan Campbell said he does not expect Jared Goff to play Sunday, so it's going to probably be Tim Boyle as their starting quarterback. Yikes. And making me wonder if I should play Amon-Ra St. Brown in my main money league. But let me keep on moving. These 2 players for Atlanta did not practice yesterday. Taji Sharp with a foot and Tyler Davison with the illness. And then Avery Williams was limited with the groin. So with this team, I do say this, even with all the COVID and injury issues with the Lions, they've been playing really tough over this last month. I think that's a good sign that if they can get the right pieces on the offense and defensive side of the ball, Dan Campbell will be able to flip this thing around for Detroit. It may not be next year. It might be the year 3 where you actually see them push for the playoff teams, but I think they'll be very competitive next year. With that being said, they're just missing a lot of guys where I think it's going to catch up to them in this matchup against Atlanta. Even though the Lions don't have nothing to fight for, that's what I'm trying to get at it. They're not like a team I think that's going to lay down and allow a team to walk over them at this point of the year. But with that being said, the Falcons have more to fight for. They still technically have a shot at the wild card in the NFC. So I expect the Atlanta to come out and play really good in front of their home crowd on Sunday. I think the offense should be able to move the ball against that Lions defense. I think it's weird to say, but they should have more success than what Arizona did last week. They'll get Cordero Patterson involved as much as they can. I can see this being a nice, solid outing for Kyle Pitts as well. And I just think they're going to put themselves in scoring position more times than not on Sunday. And then with Detroit, they were kind of getting some things going, right? Like, I want to say Jared Goff was playing really good football, but he was playing some solid football over the last few weeks. And they were getting things going with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Josh Reynolds was playing pretty good for them. And they were just getting random guys like Craig Reynolds to run the rock. But I think with Tim Boyle, that obviously takes a step. Listen, I'm not the biggest Jared Goff fan. You guys have heard me rip on him on my streamable defenses basically every week. But he's a lot better than Tim Boyle, okay? So I just don't see that. I don't see this being a consistent offense for Detroit. I don't think they're going to sustain drives. I can see turnovers and 3-and-outs happening throughout the game. So I got the Falcons winning like a 24-10 win on Sunday. Moving into this next matchup, we got the Rams heading to Minnesota to face the Vikings. For the Rams practice report yesterday, Greg Gaines did not practice with an ankle, and then Darius Williams was limited with a back. And I do want to say too, guys, their guys are listed for like resting. I'm not going to talk about that if they did not practice because they rested, because it's obviously they're going to play. So I just want to make sure I did mention that. And on the Vikings side, Dalvin Cook is going to be out. He was placed on the COVID list yesterday. So Alexander Mattison will be the starting running back for Minnesota. And then these two players did not practice. Mason Cole with an elbow, and then CJ Ham with a hamstring. And then Adam Thielen was limited with an ankle. They're definitely going to need Adam back. Hopefully he can play because Madison's a really solid back. I like Kenny Nwangu, who's been showing some good things as of late, especially as a returner. And then he did some nice runs there against the Bears on Monday night. So I guess that's where I'm starting right now, is with the Minnesota offense. And this is going to be a game without Dalvin Cook. Like, sure, I expect they should have a decent outing from their rushing attack, but it's going to be a game where Kirk Cousins got to step up and win this game. Like, if he's the money that he thinks he's worth, like, listen, I am not a Kirk hater. I am right in the middle with Kirk. I think Kirk is a very good quarterback, but it's these type of games where he has to put his team on his shoulder and win the games. Their offensive line stinks. I mean, not stinks. It's solid. But yeah, they're going against Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd and Von Miller. So yeah, I mean, Kirk's going to be under duress. That's going to happen. And that's where his problem is when he's under pressure, he cannot deliver on his throws. So, I mean, he's going to be under pressure tomorrow, and he's probably going to have his moments where he's going to throw an interception or two, and I could definitely see this Vikings offense struggling. But then I think he will have his moments where he puts together some good drives. He picks the defense apart with Justin Jefferson, KJ Osborne. I do think Thielen will end up playing, and I think Thielen will have a good outing as well. And I think they can still put up 2 to 3 touchdown drives. I just wonder if that's going to be enough for them. Because when you flip sides of the ball, the Rams are hot right now on the opposite side of the ball. Matthew Stafford's playing really good football. Cooper Kupp's having an MVP type like year. OBJ's getting comfortable in the offense. Van Jefferson's still is an underrated wide receiver. And then they're getting a nice little healthy dose of a rushing attack between Sony Michel and Darrell Henderson. They're going against that Vikings defense who has struggled this year to defend the pass, so that sets up well for a huge Matthew Stafford game. And I think he's going to put up 3+ scoring drives for his offense tomorrow. So that's where I have my concerns, is I don't know if the Vikings have enough to keep up in the shootout. They are going to have to their defense is going to have to risk themselves for some turnovers, because otherwise I think they're going to end up not being able to play. They're not going to be able to play the catch up eventually. I think the Rams end up winning this game on the road. I think they end up winning a I like that. 31-27. Yeah, I like that. 31-27 win tomorrow for LA. Whew, I just sent a tweet about this game right before I hopped on to record this. We got the Jacksonville Jaguars heading up to New York to face the Jets. What I tweeted out this morning was, has there ever been little to no hype when the top two quarterbacks selected in the previous draft are going to be facing off against each other with Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson. Anytime the top two quarterbacks faced off in the past, it was like all the media talked about. It was promoted heavily, and it just shows how bad these two franchises in the current state that they're in right now. Because I've literally seen nobody talk about Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson facing off each other. Just shows how bad these teams are, and actually kind of like, I wouldn't say disappointing, just like how I guess these two quarterbacks have not met the expectations that most people thought they would at least deliver on as a rookie. Now, taking a look at these injury reports from from yesterday's practice for both teams. On Jacksonville's side, these four players did not practice. James Robinson with a knee. Do pay attention to that because he was a start for me. Hopefully he's able to play. Miles Jack with a knee, Malcolm Brown with a toe, and Jihad Ward with a back. And then these players were limited. Will Richardson with a back, Chris Manhertz with a shoulder, Laviska Shenault with a shoulder and foot. But then it came out this morning that Laviska Shenault, Josh Allen, and one of their linemen, God, it's the kid that was at the Senior Bowl that year. Why am I drawing a blank? Anyways, those guys have been placed on the COVID list, so they're more than likely out on Sunday. And then Lorente McCray is limited with an ankle, and Andrew Norwell with a back. It just hit me. Ben Barch. I have respect for that kid because I got to add, that's another story I would get into. But he's a very smart kid. I got a chance to interact with him up at the Senior Bowl a couple of years ago. And then taking a look at the Jets injury report, these three players did not practice. Jamison Crowder with a calf, Bryce Hall with an illness, Elijah Riley with a concussion, and then these four players were limited. CJ Mosley with a back, Sheldon Rankins with a knee, George Fant with a knee, and then Quinnen Williams with his shoulder injury. So yeah, I don't know really what to expect out of this game, guys. It's a battle of two teams that are going to probably end up picking in the top 5 of the draft this year. Again, I think it's, you got the top 2 selected quarterbacks, so it does make it interesting. But the thing is, the Jets have like 20-something players on the COVID list right now, and now Jacksonville is dealing with people on the COVID list. So like, who's going to be in, who's going to be out of the lineups? Both teams are obviously, like I just mentioned, they're both dealing with injuries as well. Robert Saleh, the head coach for the New York Jets, he's on the COVID list. But then it's like they fired Urban Meyer, and then I don't know who to pick. I really don't. Like, I went through my script this morning. I'm like, who am I going to pick? Because I don't know how to give you guys a breakdown, right? So, okay, let's just start. Let's just try to do the traditional Cody breakdown. With the Jets, they got Zach Wilson, who's, he has a good quarter, then he lays a dud the next quarter, but he's going against this Jacksonville defense where they have had an up and down year. They show their good moments, but Josh Allen's going to be out of this lineup, right? And the Jets' offensive line is kind of decent right now. So I can actually kind of see Zach Wilson kind of picking this new Jacksonville defense apart at times. And I can see a decent outing for Michael Carter, their running back, because I'm really not sure who's going to be at wide receiver for the New York Jets this week, because Jamison Crowder's hurt. I know they got a couple guys on the COVID list. A couple guys are done for the year. Oh, Keelan Cole, former Jacksonville Jaguar. He's going to have a good game, guys. Maybe play him in your DFS lineup. I totally forgot he just left from Jacksonville and he's now with New York. So watch out for a good Keelan Cole game tomorrow. And I think New York's offense should be fine. Even without Robert Saleh, they still got is it Matt? No, Mike LaFleur. Matt LaFleur's brother is the offensive coordinator. So I think he can scheme up some plays, and I think he's going to get that offense moving. And then you flip sides of the ball. I mean, everything should set up for Jacksonville to have one of their better offensive outings. But, I mean, James Robinson has not practiced so far this week. So we'll have to see if he's going to be on the final injury report or not. And if he can't go for any reason, they're going to be down to Dare Ungabaloy. I totally butchered that guy's name. He's a former Wisconsin running back. I should have got that right. But they really, I mean, what? Laviska's out. They got Marvin Jones, but man, I mean, you guys can't beat the Texans. I just can't believe in you, to be quite honest. So I am actually going to go ahead and settle with the Jets to win. I think they have enough juice on the offense where they can get this win. They win like a 17. It's going to be low scoring, I think, though. Like a 17-14 win for the Jets tomorrow. Moving into this next matchup, we do got the Giants heading over to Philadelphia to face the Eagles. Taking a quick look at these injury reports for the Giants, Ben Bredesen did not practice with an ankle. These number of players were limited in practice yesterday. Gary Brightwell with a neck, Saquon Barkley with an ankle, Colin Gillespie with a shin, Austin Johnson with a foot, Kyle Rudolph with an ankle, Andrew Thomas with an ankle, and Leonard Williams with his triceps. And then you look at the Eagles, they kind of got some notable names here that did not practice yesterday. Jordan Mailata with an ankle, Miles Sanders with a quad, and Ryan Kerrigan with an illness. And then Jalen Hurts was limited with his ankle, and Jack Stoll with his knee. Let's start with the Eagles offense. I think they're kind of finding themselves. They're the first team since the 1985 Bears that get I think 150 or some high mark at the rushing mark, like 7 or 8 games in a row. So they have found their identity on the ground with Jalen Hurts' rushing ability, and then with their number of guys in the backfield between Miles Sanders, Jordan Howard, they sprinkle in Boston Scott and Kenneth Gainwell as well. And I don't expect that to change. I expect they're going to go right after the New York defense on the ground. Now, the New York's defensive front can be stingy against the run, so this will potentially have to put the ball in Jalen Hurts' arm, who I think Jalen has put some good throws this year. Jalen really won me over a couple years ago at the Senior Bowl just because of the leadership that he presented himself and how mature he was. But I did not see him growing as a passer as he has. And I think he's putting together some things. I still think there is some room for improvement, but I mean, man, they got Devontae Smith. Dallas Goedert's a beast. He just has to make sure he secures those catches, and he could have had even a better outing. And I think they should be able to put up 2 to 3 plus touchdown drives against that Giants defense. And then you flip sides of the ball. The Eagles defense, they show up in moments. They still have their times where they need to kind of improve, but they're going against this Giants offense who is, I don't even know, is it Mike Lennon or Jake Fromm that's going to be the quarterback? Are they going to rotate them? I don't know. Either way, I wouldn't be scared of either of those guys. Saquon just hasn't been Saquon this year. Kenny Golladay might have been overrated from how I viewed him. I thought he would have a lot better of a season than he's had in New York. Kadarius Toney, I believe, will be back this week, but I just don't think it's going to be enough. I just don't see any consistency out of that offense. I can see them turning the ball over more times than not tomorrow. So I do think Philadelphia handles their business. Now, this is a divisional matchup, and if I remember right, I think New York beat them last time, but that was with Daniel Jones. So I'm going to have Philadelphia win this one. 24-17. They should beat them more than that, right? Let's go with a 27-17 win for Philadelphia. And then moving on to this next matchup, we got the Buffalo Bills heading to New England to face the Patriots. With the Bills, they are also dealing with some COVID issues. Gabriel Davis was put on the list this morning, as well as Cody Ford, and there's a couple other guys like Cole Beasley and stuff that are on the list. So that's not a good thing to have right before this big matchup. But when you take a look at the injury report, these 2 players did not practice yesterday. Cam Lewis with an illness, Star Lutulele for a personal reason. And then these 2 players were limited. Micah Hyde with a back, and Taywan Jones with a knee injury. And then you take a look at the Patriots injury report. These 2 players did not practice yesterday. Nelson Aguilar with a concussion and Ramondre Stevenson with an illness. And then these number of players were limited. David Andrews with a shoulder, Christian Barmore with a knee, Jawan Bentley with his ribs and ankle, Brandon Bolden with a knee, Nick Folk with a knee, Damian Harris with a knee, N'Keal Harry with a hip, and Adrian Phillips with a knee. So yeah, we got the Patriots coming off that loss to the Colts, and then you got the Bills coming off a get-right matchup against the Panthers. And these teams, this is going to be the game that probably ends up deciding who's going to win the AFC East. Obviously, the Patriots have control of that right now because they are a game up on the... Wait, I might have messed that up. But let me just look up the report really. I think the Bills... All right, yeah. The Patriots have one more win than them. The Patriots are up 1 game on them. Obviously, they won that last game, so they currently have the tiebreaker. So this is a huge game for the Bills. They need to go in there and make a statement against New England. I think they're going to come in and they're going to be ready to play. on Sunday. I think even though they're going to be missing all those people, this is a team that's got a chip on their shoulder from that loss a couple weeks ago. I know they are very upset. They sound highly motivated. Jordan Poyer was on the Pat McAfee show on Tuesday, and just the way he was talking about this game and talking about his team, it just sounds like this team is very focused on this matchup. They sound like how the Colts sounded last week. Ahead of that matchup, where they're just highly motivated. They're going to come ready to play and, crack some pads on Sunday. So with that being said, still going to be a tough outing for the Bills offense. They're down Emmanuel Sanders. I'm sorry. It looks like Emmanuel Sanders is actually back. He was a full practice yesterday. They're down Gabriel Davis. They're down Cole Beasley, but they still got Stephon Diggs. They still got Emmanuel Sanders, who will be back in the lineup. Isaiah McKenzie can be a gadget guy for them. Dawson Knox is still a good receiving tight end. And they still got Devin Singletary, who's been running the ball pretty good as of late. Now, you got the concerns, though. There are going to be a couple shuffling of the offensive line. So you wonder if they're going to be able to protect Josh Allen enough. But he's got his mobility where he can stretch plays. They can call design plays to get him outside the pocket to allow him to either pick the New England defense apart with his arm or just go rush for a first down. I'm sure Bill Belichick will be ready for that, the mad genius himself. But I think Josh is about to put this game on his shoulders and go will his team to victory, because he is that type of quarterback. And I think they're going to put up 2 to 3 plus touchdown drives on Sunday. You flip sides of the ball. You know what the Patriots want to do. They're going to try to run the ball down their throat, especially like they did that last time where Mac Jones only completed 3 times. But what the Bills are going to do is they're probably going to take a look at what the Colts defense did in that first half against New England, and they're going to try to sell out, stop the run, and put this game on Mac Jones. Now, Mac Jones did show up in that fourth quarter. He almost got that comeback completed. He can push the ball down the field. It's not like this guy has a noodle arm by no means, but he just has less success when he does try to make those 20 plus yards throws. So what they got to do is stop the run, confuse him, jump in those passing lanes like the Colts did, and get those interceptions, and that can really flip this game into the Buffalo Bills' favor. But with that being said, you can run that ball against Buffalo. It's been proven by New England. It's been proven by the Colts. So New England's going to repeat that success, I think. I think they're going to have their drives. They're going to put up 2 to 3 scoring drives in this game. I do think this is going to come down to who has the ball last and who's in the prime position to kick that game-winning field goal. I think Josh gets it done. He delivers a deep throw to Stephon Diggs to put them in field goal position, and Tyler Bass, Big Bass, with his leg, kicks that game-winning field goal. Buffalo wins a 24-21 win on Sunday. Moving into this next matchup, we got the Baltimore Ravens, who are traveling to Cincinnati to face the Bengals. Taking a look at Ravens injury report, obviously this is not good ahead of the matchup, even though Tyler Huntley has been balling in his starts for Lamar, but Lamar has not practiced this week with his ankle injury so far. We'll have to see what today looks like. And then these number of players did not practice. Nick Boyle with a knee, Devin Duvernay with an ankle, Tyree Phillips with a knee, Ben Powers with a foot, and Brandon Stevens with an illness. And these 3 players were limited. Calais Campbell with a thigh, Patrick Ricard with a knee, and Tavon Young with a concussion. And taking a look at the Cincy injury report, these 3 players have not practiced. Khalid Kareem with a concussion, Logan Wilson with a shoulder, Fred Johnson with an illness, and then these 3 players were limited. Drew Sample with a foot, Hakeem Adejani, okay, I'm just gonna move on, with an ankle, and Mitchell Wilcox with a toe. And so with this matchup, it's like 2 teams kind of like, I want to say opposite directions, because the Bengals, they stumbled a couple games and they got their big win against Denver on the road last week. But you do got the Baltimore Ravens, who are heading in opposite directions, who have lost a couple of their games over the last couple weeks, and then they've just been decimated by injuries where they're not at their full potential with their roster, because especially with the secondary. I mean, and like I said, Tyler Huntley's putting some good things on tape, but he's no Lamar Jackson, right? Lamar Jackson maybe makes that slight of a difference where they get the win over the Packers last week. You got to give credit, man. Jim Harbaugh's one heck of a coach. He's probably, he's a top 5 coach in my opinion. And I mean, he gets the best out of his roster. It doesn't matter who he has when he gets on the field on Sunday. The Baltimore Ravens are going to play tough football against you. Now, the last time these teams faced off against each other, the Bengals broke off on them. They beat them like 44-17. I think that's the game. If I got that right, you guys go check that out. And you're like, how did Cody remember that? Now I'm gonna have to look because now I'm curious if I did get that score right. I know they dropped 40 on them. I know they dropped 40 on them, guys. Give me 1 second. I am very curious if I got that score right. 41-17. 41-17. I was off by 3 points. Give me a break. I got the 40 points though. But with that being said, yeah. So I think they can just go back to what worked for them last time and throw it all over the yard with Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, C.J. Uzomah had that big game last time against them. So that's what they have to go into. Now, I know their head coach, Zach Taylor, can't be stubborn, right? You can't just force the run because that's what Baltimore is good against right now. They still have their pieces up front. They still got Patrick Queen in the middle of the defense that can help stop the run for the Ravens. You have to throw against them. That's what they got to do, especially with how decimated it is hurt. So as long as they can lean into the pass and let Joe Burrow do Joe Burrow things, I think they're going to put up 3 to 4 touchdown drives against the Ravens offense. Now, you flip sides of the ball, the Cincinnati defense is hit and miss. They can be very stout against the run. Trey Hendrickson's been very good off the edge and creating sacks. And I think they're going to dominate the trenches against the Baltimore Ravens. I do think they're going to keep the rushing attack in check, and I think they're going to be harassing Tyler Huntley throughout the matchup. So this is going to come down to can Tyler Huntley deliver on some deep shots at times? He's going to have to take a shot to Marquise Brown at least 2 to 3 times in this game. They got to get Rashad Bateman involved. Duvernay's kind of banged up, so he's a guy I really like as a gadget guy. I've always tweeted about him, how I like to watch him with the ball in his hands. But let's keep this on track. I just see an inconsistent day happening for Baltimore. I think they put up 2 to 3 touchdown drives, but my question is it going to be enough? Is it going to be like the last matchup where, yeah, they score like 17 points, maybe they could have scored like 20, 24, but is that going to be enough, right? So I do think the Bengals, the passing attack ends up overtaking this matchup, and Cincinnati finds a way to win. I don't know if they're going to blow them out like they did last time, but I think Cincinnati does win like a 28-17 win on Sunday. And then this next matchup, I'm going to be probably really quick with this, guys, but I've noticed anytime I say I'm going to be really quick, like last week when I said I'm going to be really quick with this Lions and Cardinals preview, I end up being wrong. And it's happened multiple times this year. So if you guys are bettors, you might want to take the Texans, because every time I say I'm going to be very quick with this preview, the team I think that's going to get dog walked somehow makes it competitive and sometimes just wins the game. So with that being said, I'm probably going to be very quick with this matchup. So yeah, we got the Chargers facing off against Houston. I know the Chargers are kind of dealing with some COVID issues as well. Joey Bosa is going to be out of this matchup. When you take a look at the injury report, both teams are very short as of right now. Entering today, as of yesterday, Derwin James did not practice with a hamstring, as well as Donald Parham with his concussion. On the Texans side, David Johnson did not practice with a quad. Now, the reason why I'm going to be very quick with this is because you got two teams heading in opposite directions, right? You got the Chargers, who suffered that brutal loss to the Chiefs, which have hurt their chances to win the AFC West. But obviously, they need to secure their wild card spot with how competitive the AFC is right now. So they are going to be a highly motivated team going against a team that doesn't really have any motivation. They have no shot at the playoffs. Yes, they beat the Jaguars last week, but even though they beat the Jaguars, they have, a day or two later, there's a report that they may fire their first-year head coach in David Culley. So obviously the team hears about that. There's who's even going to be on this roster by the time this time next year? Because a lot of these guys on this team are on one-year contracts. So I think Justin Herbert is going to come out, ball out against that terrible secondary in Houston. I expect a big game out of Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and then I think Jared Cook should have himself a game. Now, Austin Eckler is on the COVID list. I did see, by the way, I did see this morning before I hopped on. So Austin Eckler does a fantasy show, right, for Yahoo. and he actually said it himself. Hey, I'm on the COVID list. So if you own me, go pick up Justin Jackson. So Justin Jackson is the Chargers running back to own this week in fantasy if Austin Eckler is unable to come off the COVID list. He said it himself. So go put it on him if Justin Jackson doesn't do anything for you if you play him in fantasy this week. But yeah, I think the Chargers put up 4 touchdown drives easily on the Texans. You flip sides of the ball. Davis Mills, I guess, has been doing some solid things, but Brandon Cooks is on the COVID list. I know that because he's on my fantasy roster that I was hoping to play him this week. But he's on the COVID list, so they don't have their alpha dog in the wide receiver room. They don't really have much of a rushing attack. Even without Joey Bosa, I still think with Uchenna Nwosu and other guys up on that defensive front should be able to create pressure on Davis Mills. Asante Samuel's back in the lineup. He'll probably get a pick 6 at some point, and I think they just handled their business. Maybe I stretched this out long enough so my prediction actually happens, but I do have the Chargers winning like a 35-10 win on Sunday. Now this next matchup will be the last 1 p.m. game on Sunday. It is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling up to Carolina to face the Panthers. Now, taking a look at the long injury report for Tampa Bay, they are super banged. They have gotten banged up at the absolutely worst time. They lost Chris Godwin, who they have already placed on IR. Now, these 2 guys were listed as DNPs yesterday. But both are expected to miss the rest of the season. That's Levante David, their middle linebacker, and Leonard Fournette, their running back. Those guys I think will be getting placed on IR, but they have to list them on the injury report until the IR placement is official. And then taking a look at the rest of the injury report, Mike Evans did not practice with a hamstring, as well as the following guys. Jason Pierre-Paul with a shoulder, Antoine Winfield Jr. with a foot, Jalen Darden with an illness, and Raheem Nunez-Roches with an illness. And then these 2 players were limited. Antonio Brown with an ankle and Richard Sherman with an Achilles. And then the Panthers report, DJ Moore did not practice with a hamstring. And then these 2 players were limited, Cameron Irving with a calf and Phil Hoskins with a back. And then going ahead and getting into this, guys, like, yeah, I still can't believe the Bucs got shut out by the Saints. What a boring game, by the way. But with that being said, I do think that's going to lead to a highly motivated Tom Brady. Yes, he's not going to have Chris Godwin. Yes, more than likely this week he won't have Mike Evans, but he should be getting Antonio Brown back this week. I like Tyler Johnson. He's shown some good things. Scotty Miller showed up in the past, and they got Perryman, who made that big play in overtime a couple weeks ago, and they still got Rob Gronkowski. They still got O.J. Howard. Like, if there was a team on the offensive side of the ball that can deal with injuries to their main guys, it is the Bucs. They were one of the deepest teams entering this year at the skill position room, and they're going to need those guys to step up in these final 3 weeks, and especially when they get to the playoffs. With that being said, they got Ronald Jones, who's been a nice solid running back, and I think he's going to get his against this Carolina defense, who is somewhat stingy against the run. But man, there's a lot of noise surrounding Matt Rule and that coaching staff there in Carolina. And I mean, despite how well the defense has played at times throughout the year, I just think they're going against a angry Tom Brady, and anytime you go against an angry Tom Brady, it doesn't work in your favor. I expect this Bucs offense to put up 3+ scoring drives on the Panthers defense. And then you flip sides of the ball, man. Like, yeah, I guess like the Bucs defense it's hit and miss. Like, some weeks they're really good with their pass rush and their ability to, they're always good against the run, but then sometimes they can get picked apart through the air. But man, this Panthers offense is a mess. It is. I mean, Cam Newton's expected to get the start, but they're talking about Sam Darnold coming back and getting some snaps in this game. I don't know what to say about that, guys. I just don't. I just feel like it's going to be an inconsistent offense that can't sustain drives, that will probably turn the ball over, and this will probably lead to a blowout victory for Tampa Bay as they take out all their anger from their loss against the Saints onto this Panthers team. The Bucs win like a 28-14 win tomorrow. Moving into this next matchup, it's a matchup that really has no implications whatsoever, but it's the Bears traveling out to Seattle to face the Seahawks. Both teams are basically out of the playoffs, so this is all basically this matchup, though, because they're both on similar records. It kind of determines where they'll be picking. Well, actually, it doesn't. I forgot Seattle traded their first round pick to the Jets, so the Jets Jets fans will have high interest in this game, and they will be rooting for the Bears to win so they can get a higher draft pick from Seattle. But taking a look at Chicago's injury report, these three players did not practice. Xavier Crawford with a concussion, Jakeem Grant with a concussion, and Justin Fields with an ankle. And then Marquise Goodwin has been limited with his ankle injury. And then these following players did not practice for Seattle: Gabe Jackson with a knee, John Radigan with a knee, Al Woods with a shoulder, and Blesson Austin with a hip. And then these four players were limited: DK Metcalf with a foot, Freddie Swain with an ankle, Puna Ford with a knee, and Alex Collins with an abdomen. So with this matchup, guys, I mean, I'll kind of give you guys as best as a preview as I can, but there's no really implications in it. I mean, I do apologize if anybody does listen to my my previews and they take that into their betting or anything like that. But with that being said, there's just not a lot to, I don't know, look into this game outside of maybe some fantasy guys and maybe betting, because there's no playoff implications. But with that being said, you know, that Seattle offense has just been, I mean, it's just been less than impressive. I don't know what's going on with Russell Wilson. Like, obviously the mallet finger should be healed by now, but man, some of these throws, like he's missing a wide open DK Metcalf, and it's just like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't ever want to say this about somebody, but I feel like he's trying to throw his way out of Seattle, if that makes any sense to you guys, what I just said. I just feel like he's not delivering on his throws like I know he can, because he doesn't want to win any games, so he has a reason to leave in the offseason. I don't, like, it's hard for me to say a man would do that, but I mean, I just never have seen Russell Wilson being this poor thrower of the football like I have, and I don't believe it's just because of a mallet finger. I think that, and maybe he's shook. Maybe he's just like, his timing is off. Maybe it is. Maybe the finger hurts when he throws, but man, it's been a long time since he hurt that finger, right? So with that being said, they are going against the Chicago Bears defense, guys, who stinks. They just don't have enough pieces. They got some guys up front, but Akeem Hicks was placed on the COVID list, so that should open up to the rushing attack for whoever it is, whether it's Rashad Penny. I think Alex Collins is going to be back this week, and then obviously DJ Dallas got involved. So they should be able to kind of run the ball, and that should open up things for the passing attack. They get Tyler Lockett back this week, so I think they should have a good outing. I just don't know, like, is Russ going to deliver on his throws this week or not? But they are more than capable of putting up 3+ touchdown drives against this Bears defense with the talent they have. Now, flip side to the ball, I don't know what's really going to go on with the Bears offense, because Andy Dalton is still on the COVID list. Justin Fields did not practice yesterday with the ankle, but he said it himself, he's expected to play. So I do think they're going to try to just run the ball against Seattle, because like that Seattle defensive front is coming off a strong game. So I do think we're going to see a lot of David Montgomery. They should, I mean, I say they should, but I just don't trust their coaching staff. But a lot of RPO type of stuff with Justin Fields, and try to take some deep shots to Darnell Mooney, get Cole Kmet involved. But I mean, honestly, I just see an unsustainable offense that's not going to be in scoring position a lot. I think Seattle does enough to win this game. They win like a 24 to 17 win. I don't know, guys. This game's gonna be unless it's on Red Zone, I'm not excited to watch this game, to say the least. But moving into this next matchup, we got the Denver Broncos traveling to the Raiders, traveling to Las Vegas to face the Raiders. Both teams got a long injury report, so let's get started on that. These two players did not practice for Denver. Teddy Bridgewater with his concussion. It is expected that Drew Lock will be the starter. And then Kenny Young with a concussion. And then these number of players were limited in practice yesterday. Melvin Gordon with a thumb and hip. Kareem Jackson with a back. Draymond Jones with a foot. Shamar Stephen with a knee. Shelby Harris with a ankle. Albert O with a knee. Mike Purcell with a thumb and knee. And Javonte Williams with a knee. And if you guys are hearing any of that snoring, that is totally Titan on my couch next to me. That is cutting rugs right now. So if that does show up very heavy in this video, I do apologize. But he might even do his little noises he makes when he dreams. So do stay tuned for that. Now, taking a look at the Las Vegas injury report, these number of players did not practice. Jonathan Abram with his shoulder, but he's expected to go on IR and his season is done. Will Compton for a personal reason. Jonathan Hankins with a back. Brandon Parker with a knee, and then Darren Waller with a knee and back injury. And which reminds me, I may have to go grab myself a tight end because I thought Waller will be back this week. And then these number of players will be limited. Divine Diablo with a shoulder and elbow. That's kind of a cool name. Daniel Helm with a knee. Zay Jones with a toe. Foster Moreau with an abdomen and thigh. And Denzel Perryman with his ankle. So yeah, this is a huge game because both teams are at 500. Both teams are fighting for a wild card spot, and it's kind of crazy that the Raiders are in position to potentially make it to the wild card with an interim head coach. You guys know how I feel about interim head coaches at this point of the year. Now, I will say this. I do think they kind of got lucky facing the Browns in that COVID situation on Monday night, but they were able to get the win. They had to squeeze it out, but they were able to get the win. And they are going on against the Denver Broncos, who, man, it's like, who is this Broncos team? It's like, man, some weeks it's like, man, this is a legit team, especially on the defensive side of the ball, especially when they can get that, when they get Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon going on the ground. It's like, all right, you kind of got one of those classic rushing team, one of those, like a classic Denver team that can run the ball and play really good defense, you know? And then it's like some weeks they show up and they get blown out. Their offense can't do anything. The defense looks like it's like, what? Maybe is this defense overrated type of game. So what Denver team are we going to get, especially with Drew Lock? So I guess that's where I should start. With Drew Lock being the starter, obviously they have no confidence in him because they have had plenty of opportunities when Teddy had his down games where they could have flipped it to Drew Lock and see if he could have provided a jolt to their offense. So with that being said, he's got a big arm. He can push down the ball down the field, but he's not that accurate when he does look to push down the ball down the field. So that could potentially be turnover potential for that Raiders defense. So what I would expect is if they have no confidence in Drew Lock as a potential starter of their future, is they're going to lean on Melvin Gordon, they're going to lean on Javonte Williams, they're going to try to run the rock as much as they can. They're going to try to put Drew Lock in third and short situations where he can just make quick, easy reads and dump off the ball to like Noah Fan on quick outs or Jerry Jeudy or Cortland Sutton on quick slants, and not try to put him in a position where he kind of gets happy feet. He's back in the pocket in third and long situations, and he's like trying to process everything, and that's where his turnovers come from. So with that being said, I'm not the biggest believer in the Raiders defense. Jonathan Hankins, he takes up the middle of that defense. He was a DNP yesterday. If he gets ruled out of this matchup, expect a big running game from Gordon and Javonte Williams. So I think they're going to be putting themselves in scoring position more times than not, but they got to convert those drives into touchdowns. They can't be settling for field goals when they get into the red zone. And then you flip sides of the ball, man, that Raiders offense, it's this nothing without Darren Waller. I mean, they kind of got the job done this past week, but I think they kind of got lucky to win that game against Cleveland. What they're going to look to do is they're going to probably try to look to lean on Josh Jacobs. Foster Moreau's kind of banged up. It doesn't look like Darren Waller's going to be back, so they're going to have to try to get the things going with Hunter Renfrow and Bryan Edwards and try to get those young guys to step up. But I think this Broncos defense is going to be able to step up. Bradley Chubb's going to come off that edge and get some pressure on Derek Carr, force him into early decisions, and that's where you get those turnovers from Patrick Surtain and Justin Simmons can get their hands on the ball and create turnovers and potentially put the offense in a great field position where they can punch it in for a touchdown. I can honestly see this game going either way. This is in Las Vegas, so I think it's going to be highly competitive. Usually when it's a close game, you guys know I always want to pick who I think the better quarterback is. And you guys know I crap on Derek Carr. There's a lot of flaws to his game, I feel like. But I definitely like Derek Carr a lot more than I like Drew Lock. So I think Drew Lock is due for more mistakes and more turnovers than Derek Carr. So I think the Raiders are actually going to squeeze out this win. I think they end up winning a 20-17 win over Denver on Sunday. Moving into this should be, yeah, this is the last 4 p.m. game. We got the Steelers traveling to KC to face the Chiefs. Taking a look at the injury report for the Steelers, these two players did not practice. Pat Freiermuth with a concussion, and Chris Wormley with his groin, and then Big Ben was limited with a pectoral and shoulder, as well as Dan Moore Jr. with an illness. The Chiefs, these two players were limited. They just listed it as non-injury related. They didn't give a personal or a reason why. But Chris Jones and Charvarius Ward were limited for non-injury related reasons. And then obviously the Chiefs are dealing with COVID issues. Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce are currently on COVID reserve, but I did see this morning that they still have a chance to be activated tomorrow, so I guess that's somewhat promising. I would guess that means they tested negative today, and they just had to test negative again, I believe, tomorrow to come out of it. I believe so. Again, I'm trying to figure out these exact rules. So yeah, with that being said, we got the Patrick Mahomes-led Chiefs offense going against the Steelers defense, who it's been up and down for the Steelers defense, but once they got Joe Hayden back in that lineup last week, it kind of made a difference. It kind of gave you that classic feel of that Pittsburgh defense. Now they're going against this Chiefs offense, who's so hit and miss this year. Patrick Mahomes is having a middle of the pack year. I don't think he's having a down year. He's having a down year, I guess, for Patrick Mahomes, right? It's definitely probably arguably his worst season as a pro. So with that being said, it's hard for me to kind of say how this offense is going to work, because if Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce aren't there, we haven't seen we have not seen. I mean, to my knowledge, I don't think they've ever had a game where both those guys were hurt and both of them had a miss, just off the top of my head. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. But with that being said, I don't know how this offense would look without those two. I would expect that they would try to lean on the run between CEH and Darius Williams. Is it I apologize if I got that name wrong. But Williams, number 31. I expect they would look to lean on both of those guys. And then, who are they? Brian Pringle has been playing good ball at the wide receiver position. They still got McCall Hardman, who can take the top off the defense, and they can kind of use him in a gadget role. And they got Josh Gordon. Maybe he can show up and have a big game for them. And knowing Andy Reid, I think he can make some play designs where this offense should be able to move the ball. But I would expect, TJ Watt, who's trying to go win himself the Defensive Player of the Year this season, he'll probably show up at times. But they're going to need like Devin Bush and those linebackers to show up and control the middle of that defense. And then they definitely will need Minkah Fitzpatrick. They need Minkah Fitzpatrick to make a big time play at some point in this game and pick off Mahomes, and whether it's a return for a touchdown or a return for putting their offense in a prime time position to go put up some points. I still think, though, KC can get 2 to 3 touchdown drives against this Steelers defense. Now, you flip sides of the ball. Chiefs defense been playing really good football as of late. Nick Bolton stepping up the linebacker position as a rookie. And then you got, obviously, you got Chris Jones up in the middle, Frank Clark coming off the edge, Melvin Ingram going against those Steelers who he wanted off. So, he's going to be looking to have a big game. And then Tyrann Mathieu obviously is good for a turnover at any point on any given Sunday. Now, this Steelers offense, man, I don't know what we're going to get from them. Big Ben apparently is dealing with some injuries, so he's going to be less than 100%. They are going to look to try to lean on Najee Harris in that ground attack, and then they're going to try to take chances with Chase Claypool and Deontay Johnson deep. Missing Pat Freiermuth, who will probably be out of this matchup, I'm assuming, with his concussion, is going to be a detriment to that offense, because he's been a trusty weapon for Big Ben. And as I've said, when Big Ben has a tight end he can throw to, that's when this offense moves the ball. So if Pat Freiermuth is going to be out of this lineup, I feel like this offense is going to fail to sustain drives. And I think that will be the difference, and they just can't play catch up enough with the KC offense. So I am going to pick the Chiefs. I think they're going to win a 28 to 20 win. I think the Steelers have an opportunity at the end of the game to go down and tie it up, but then I think somebody forces a turnover. Let's say Tyrann Mathieu picks off Big Ben to seal the win. Now, moving into the Sunday night matchup, we got the football team traveling to Dallas to face the Cowboys. Taking a look at the injury report football team has these 4 players did not practice: Landon Collins with a foot, Antonio Gibson with a toe, William Jackson with a calf. Those are 3 crucial players that they're going to need, and if they're ruled out today, dang, that's a detriment for them. Daniel Wise also did not practice with a calf, and then Curtis Samuel was limited with his hamstring. On the Cowboys side, these 4 players did not practice: Tyron Smith with an ankle, Simi Fioco with an illness, Israel Mukuoma, I probably butchered that. I deeply apologize. With an illness, Nashawn Wright with an illness, Tony Pollard with a foot, and then DeMarcus Lawrence with his foot injury. So with this game, guys, obviously the football team, they still have something to fight for. They are still potentially in position to go into the playoffs as a wild card team, but obviously that loss to Philadelphia really hurts their chances. And they do get Taylor Heineke back, so that should somewhat help out the offense. But if they are going to be missing Antonio Gibson, they're going to be down to Jarrett Patterson because McKissick went on IR last week, so he's done for at least 2 more games. So they'll be leaning on Jarrett Patterson, who is a really good college running back. He was undrafted this past year, but then you got an undrafted free agent you're leaning on. You already got Taylor Heineke, who is a poor man's Brett Favre, who is good for a turnover or 2. And then, yeah, so I just don't know how this offense is going to look. They're going against this Dallas defense, who's really good at taking away the ball. So I do think that, somebody's going to step up and force some turnovers. I really like how their defensive front has been playing, and their defensive front showed up in that last matchup against Washington 2 weeks ago. I think they'll do it again. I think they're going to harass Taylor Heineke throughout the day. I don't think they're really going to get any type of rushing attack going, and I think it's going to be a team that finds themselves punting more times than not on Sunday night. And then flip sides of the ball, like the Cowboys offense, man, like they need to start being if the Cowboys offense can start finding some consistency and start complementing how well the defense has played as of late, this could be a dangerous team in the playoffs. They could definitely go on a Super Bowl run. So this is a game where Dak Prescott needs to get going, especially if Landon Collins and William Jackson get ruled out. This should be a game where Dak Prescott picks them apart with CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, and they just march up and down the field throughout the day, and I think they will. I think they're going to put up 4+ touchdown drives against Washington. I think Dallas handles their business. I think Dallas is going to make a statement to the rest of the NFC on Sunday night. I think they win a 35-17 win against Washington. Moving into the Monday night matchup, guys. Man, I really don't know how I feel about this game, but we got the Miami Dolphins heading to New Orleans to face the Saints. With the Miami side, Albert Wilson did not practice for a personal reason. These 2 players were limited: Philip Lindsay with an ankle and Adam Shaheen with a knee. And then there's a lot of issues going on with the Saints. So Taysom Hill and Trevor Siemian have both been placed on the COVID list. So we'll have to see if they can return, but it sounds like everybody knows that they're going to be planning on starting Ian Book, who is a rookie quarterback. If you guys watched college football last year, he was the quarterback for Notre Dame. And then these 2 players did not practice. There's 2 starting tackles were out, which surprisingly wasn't a big difference last week against Tampa. But Ryan Ramczyk and Teron Armstead did not practice with a knee. And then Marcus Davenport was limited with a shoulder, and Traquan Smith with a shoulder. So this is a very interesting game because both teams, 7-7, both teams have a shot to go try to get a wild card spot, and both teams are going to be fighting for their postseason lives on Monday night. You got the Miami offense, who had a big breakout game from Duke Johnson. Now, I do kind of feel like it's going to be a split thing between him and Myles Gaskin. They get Jalen Waddle back this week off the COVID list. They got Devontae Parker in the lineup. So, listen, I don't think Miami's going to... I think they know themselves, and I don't think they're going to try and run against this very stout defensive front 7 of the New Orleans offense, and they're going to understand they're going to have to drop back and get the ball to his hands fast, because that offensive line still stinks. And Cameron Jordan and Marcus Davenport can wreak havoc on Tua and make him hit him often throughout the night, which can lead to potential fumbles that can turn the ball over and put the Saints offense in a prime time position. So, with that being said, though, I think at times you can catch this defense, this secondary slipping, and you can push the ball down the field. I would expect them to try to take a deep shot here and there with Jalen Waddle. And Devontae Parker is a decent guy that you can throw down on the outside of the boundary for deep shots too, because he can win 50-50 situations. So I do think their offense will have their moments. I don't think it's going to be a consistent offense because I don't trust their offensive line against the New Orleans front seven. So I think there'll be, times where they're punting, they're settling at the middle of the field, and they may have some 3-and-outs, but I do think they have at least 2 to 3 touchdown drives in them if Tua is able to deliver and get in rhythm early in the game. Flip sides of the ball, I don't know what to expect out of this offense. Because first of all, this offense, you don't know what to expect on any given week. Because one week it was Jameis, then it was the Trevor Siemian show. Then we're kind of seeing the mallet finger of Taysom Hill. And now we got Ian Book. So I don't know if they're going to try to go back to their traditional offense. I think they will try to keep it as simple as possible for the rookie. I think you're going to see a lot of Alvin Kamara, a lot of dump offs to Alvin Kamara, a lot of Mark Ingram, and they're going to lean into their rushing attack. They're going to try to control the clock. They're going to try to put their rookie in a 3rd and short situations, and they're not going to try to drop back and throw the ball 30 plus times. Because if they do end up having to be a pass-happy offense, because whether Miami jumps out to a 2-score lead or Miami's defense sells out and makes sure they put this game, because that's what they're probably going to do. Brian Flores is going to try to stack the box and put two pairs of eyes on Alvin Kamara, and they're going to try to make this rookie beat them. And if that happens, good luck to him, because then I think Xavier Howard, Byron Jones, and that secondary, Javon Holland, that's going to give those guys opportunities to pick off the ball and put their offense in a good position to go down and put up some points. If Taysom Hill was playing in this game, man, coming off that big win against the Bucs, I'd feel pretty strong about the Saints at home in Monday night. Now, I still think with Sean Payton will be back. I believe I don't know, I haven't seen if he's tested out of that yet, but I'm assuming he'll be back. So that guy's a genius, right? So don't get me wrong. I think it's going to be a close game, even with Ian Book. He will coach his roster. He's been doing it all year. So this is probably going to be a competitive game. But with that being said, I'm taking Tua over Ian Book all day, any given Sunday or Monday night. And I'm going to take the Dolphins to win a 20-17 win on Monday. So yeah, that's the show. This one went a little longer, guys. I mean, now I am covering all 16 games every week. That there's no bye week, so some of these last few week episodes will go a little bit longer. I had some time to, and I was very talkative today for some reason. I did notice that as I was going through that episode. So as always, guys, hit that like button if you enjoyed today's episode. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I got some big plans for 2022, so I want you guys to keep up with all my latest content that I will be creating on my YouTube channel. And then next week, I should be back to my normal content creation schedule. Depending on if any games get moved because of COVID-related issues, I will shift my schedule. I'll make an announcement on my Twitter if I were to do that. Now, my Tuesday episode with the waiver wire and streamable defenses, I'm not 100% positive when that will come out. Me and my good friends last night, we were talking on the phone, and it sounds like my good buddy Eric might be up here at some point on Tuesday. I do have to work on Tuesday, so I may come home, take care of Titan, record that really quick, and go hang out with them. Or I may come home, take care of Titan, go hang out with them, and then come home to record that episode. So you may get it early, you may get it super late, but I am planning on doing my Tuesday episode at some point that night. So stay tuned for that. Other than that, I do plan on doing my starts and sits on Wednesday. And then I am off next weekend. So my next weekly preview video, I plan on doing that again on Friday morning, next Friday. And then I will try to figure out when I'm going to be doing my the week 18 preview, because like I said, I think there's going to be 2 Saturday games. So I'm probably going to end up doing that Thursday night of that week. I'll keep you guys updated, okay? So, but yeah, other than that, I'm gonna get out of here, get this edited and uploaded. I'm ready to enjoy my Christmas Eve. Unfortunately, I do not get to, this year, I do not get to be with my family just for multiple reasons. We're gonna get together later this spring and summer as our whole family. We got some plans we're going to be working on. So with that being said, if you guys are going to be with your family and friends, go enjoy it. have a happy holidays, a Merry Christmas, whatever you celebrate. Enjoy it with your loved ones. I will talk to you guys next week for my next preview video, but you can always hit me up on the comments at Twitter if you guys have any questions. Talk to you guys later. Have a Merry Christmas.